30 seconds.
Point 2-1, this is Chester 1-1, flight of 2 F-15s, 4 harms for the section. Stand by for SEAD, over.
Solid copy, Chester. Go get him.
Good tone, Fox 3, Fox 3.
Welcome back to this series where I break down the radio chatter in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. In the first two episodes, we looked at how these small, easily overlooked lines add layers of tension and realism to the game's biggest missions. Today I'm continuing that deep dive by focusing on the radio chatter from the two missions Wolverines and Of Their Own Accord. Both missions take place during the invasion of the United States, which immediately changes the tone of the campaign. Familiar streets and landmarks are turned into war zones, and the chatter keeps the pressure on from start to finish. Every transmission adds to the sense that the fighting stretches far beyond what's on screen, with entire units struggling across the city. The voices come through in very different ways. Some sound composed and professional, while others slip into panic. That uneven mix makes the missions feel unpredictable, as if you're listening in on a real fight where control is fragile and breaking down fast. Infinity Ward used these details to make the invasion feel real. Without the chatter, the missions would be straightforward firefights. With it, they feel like part of something larger, where every voice tells you the city is collapsing in real time. Also, before I get into this video, I wanted to mention that according to analytics, it says that over 97% of you who are watching aren't subscribed, so don't forget to subscribe. Now with that shameless plug out of the way, let's get into these breakdowns. Now with the stage set, let's jump right into the first exchange of chatter where we hear Grizzly Actual and Wolverine 2 coordinating under fire.
Grizzly Actual, this is Wolverine 2 here, diverting engaged enemy paratroopers. How copy, over? This is Grizzly, solid copy. All Grizzly teams be advised, Wolverine is now engaged with foot mobiles to our 9 o'clock.
The first call comes from Wolverine 2-3, letting Grizzly 2 Actual know that they're in contact with enemy paratroopers. Right away, the chatter establishes that squads are trying to keep each other updated in the middle of a fight.
Grizzly, this is Grizzly 2. Interrogative. Are we clear to use our thermobaric laws? Over. 2-3, what's your target?
Grizzly 2-3 is radioing command asking for permission to use thermobaric laws. A law stands for Light Anti-Tank Weapon, which is a shoulder-fired rocket launcher designed to take out armored vehicles or fortified positions. When you hear that, you might think of a javelin launcher, which is a guided missile system. But laws are more like the M72 and AT-4, which are lightweight, unguided shoulder rockets that are discarded after use. What makes this interesting though is that Grizzly 2-3 is asking to use a thermobaric law. Thermobaric munitions use fuel-air explosive technology. Instead of just an impact blast, they release fuel particles into the air and ignite them, creating a powerful pressure wave in extremely high heat. These are usually reserved for targets like buildings or bunkers.
Snipers confirmed that a boomerang in building Alpha 2-5. It'll be easier if we drop the whole building, over.
The term boomerang in this line refers to some sort of gunshot detection system. These types of detection systems use pieces of tech that uses microphones and sensors to pick up the sound of incoming or outgoing gunfire. It then calculates where the shot came from. It helps units quickly identify the direction and source of gunfire. Now before I break down the remainder of this transmission, it's important to first understand how the chain of command works here. At the very top is Overlord, which is higher headquarters. They're the ones who step in when a decision has major political or strategic weight. Then below them is Grizzly 2 Actual, the local commander on the ground. He's coordinating the fight and relaying orders to the squads. Under Grizzly 2 Actual are units such as Grizzly 2-3, which is a squad requesting clearance to use thermobaric launchers. This is the specific squad on the net that's reporting enemy snipers in a specific building. So the chain of command works like this. The squads spot the threat and they call it in. Then Grizzly Actual decides what's authorized. If the situation is too big, like leveling a major landmark, it then gets bumped up to Overlord for final approval.
2-3, confirm Alpha 2-5 is the Federal Reserve building, over. 2-3, roger that. They're all over the top floor. I'm gonna have to check in with Overlord, stand by. 2-3, roger.
Now, I know a lot of you probably wouldn't mind if the Federal Reserve got dropped, but the fact that Grizzly 2-3 asked so casually to level it shows how desperate they are. When Grizzly Actual hears it, he double checks the target because flattening a landmark is a huge decision. He then says he has to call Overlord for approval, and everyone is put on hold while higher command weighs the consequences.
Overlord, this is Grizzly Actual. Grizzly 2 has confirmed enemy snipers in building Alpha 2-5 and is requesting permission to engage with thermobaric laws, over. Overlord, copy zone. Stand by. Roger, standing by. Grizzly, this is Overlord. Use of thermobaric weapons now authorized. Go ahead and level the building now.
Grizzly 2 Actual asks Overlord for permission for Grizzly 2-3 to use thermobaric weapons. After a brief standby, Overlord authorizes leveling the Federal Reserve. Grizzly 2 Actual says Overlord twice to make sure higher headquarters knows that they're the ones being addressed. On a crowded radio net, it's standard protocol to repeat the call sign when something important needs to be said.
Grizzly 2, this is Grizzly Actual. You're approved to level the building, over. Solid copy. Grizzly 2-2, Echo 5 Kilo. This is Grizzly 2. You are approved to engage the snipers in building Alpha 2-5. Roger that. Engaging targets with thermobaric laws.
Grizzly 2 Actual relates to Grizzly 2-3 that they have approval to level the Federal Reserve. Now this part might get a little messy, but I'll put pointers on the screen so you can follow along. There's another call sign now in the chain. Grizzly 2-2 Echo 5 Kilo. Grizzly is the company, the first 2 is the platoon, the second 2 is the squad, Echo is the fire team, which is a small team within the squad, and 5 Kilo pinpoints the exact position inside that fire team, like a specific vehicle or a particular team member. Fire teams can be spread out or mounted, so that extra tag makes it clear exactly who the order is for. So when you hear Grizzly 2-2 Echo 5 Kilo, it narrows down the call from company, to platoon, to squad, to fire team, and then to the exact vehicle or position within that fire team.
Grizzly 2, target has been suppressed. All Grizzly personnel, this is Grizzly Actual. We have neutralized the snipers in building Alpha 2-5. Settle up. We're Oscar Mike. Out.
The mission goes through and the Federal Reserve gets leveled, and everyone celebrates. Jokes aside, this transmission is chilling, not because of the outcome, but because of how casual it all sounds. Normally in battle, major landmarks are spared if at all possible. However, here the radio chatter stays calm and procedural. They ask to destroy the Federal Reserve, they get permission, and then they just do it. It's absolutely crazy to think about. This next transmission comes from the Evasion radio chatter. It's not as chilling as some of the others that I've broken down, but once you understand what's being said, it's honestly insane. Let's take a look.
10-digit grid. Charlie Oscar 258 7902 3165. Over. 10-digit grid. Charlie Oscar 258 7902 3165. Out.
Here, Wolverine calls out a 10-digit grid, and then Warhammer repeats the exact coordinates to confirm what was said is correct. A single wrong digit could shift fire hundreds of meters, so it's important to make sure communication is clear and precise. And now I want to explain what the Military Grid Reference System, or MGRS, actually is. On a battlefield map, the area is divided into large squares, and each one gets a 2-letter code. For example, in this transmission we hear the code CO. That code tells us which section of the map we're working in, so there's no chance of mixing up one set of numbers with another. After the letters, we get a string of numbers, and those are split in half. The first half is called the Eastings, which run left to right on the map, and the second half is the Northings, which run bottom to top. The more digits there are, the more precise the location becomes. A 4-digit grid will narrow fire to 1,000 meters square, while a 10-digit grid can pinpoint within about a single meter. In combat, 6 to 8-digit grids are the ones most commonly used. 10-digit grids are reserved for close air support or danger close shots. In this transmission, a 10-digit grid is passed to Warhammer, which, as I explained in my last video, it's the call sign used in this game for a gunship, which is considered to be close air support.
6 BMPs, danger close, request splash, over. 6 BMPs, danger close, request splash out.
Wolverine spots 6 BMPs danger close and calls for fire support on them, and Warhammer confirms the request. In military comms, Splash is the warning that rounds are about to impact the target area.
Message to observer, Bravo 3 rounds, 4 guns in effect, target number Sierra Tango 256, over. Message to observer, Bravo 3 rounds, 4 guns in effect, target number Sierra Tango 256, out.
Breaking this down phrase by phrase, message to observer is Warhammer passing the firing plan down to Wolverine, the unit that called it in. The message explains the battery that's firing, how many guns are involved, how many rounds each gun will shoot, and the fire mission target number.
Shot, over. Shot, out. Splash, over. Splash, out.
And here's some classic fire support lingo. Shot over is Warhammer telling Wolverine that rounds have just been fired. Shot out is Wolverine acknowledging that he heard it. Splash over is Warhammer telling the observer the rounds are about 5 seconds from impact. Splash out is Wolverine acknowledging again.
Warhammer, this is Wolverine. 10-digit impact grid follows. Charlie Oscar 257 681 2254. Danger close. Correct and fire for effect. Over. 10-digit impact grid. Charlie Oscar 257 681 2254. Danger close. Correct and fire for effect. Out. Shot. Over. Shot. Out. Splash. Over. Splash. Out.
Here you get a lot of what I just explained. Wolverine sends a 10-digit impact grid that's danger close. Correct means the earlier shots landed where they should, so the coordinates were copied accurately. Fire for effect means stop adjusting and launch the full strike now. No more adjustments needed.
Good effects on target. 6 BMPs destroyed. 8-0 enemy foot mobiles KIA. All targets suppressed. End of mission. Good shooting, Warhammer. And thanks. Over. Roger, Warhammer copies all. 6 BMPs destroyed. 8-0 enemy foot mobiles KIA. All targets Target suppressed. End the mission. Out.
And then here they communicate the results. 6 BMPs destroyed, 80 enemy soldiers killed, and the enemy unable to fight back, which means the mission is over. This mission isn't as chilling as it is interesting. What stands out to me are the intricacies and small details inside the chatter, because it really comes across like an entirely different language of communication. The first 2 transmissions were interesting and chilling in their own way, but this next one is different. It's messy, hard to follow, with multiple voices cutting in and people shouting just to get their message through. Warpig 2-1 Alpha reports to Warpig 2 that a new convoy of enemy armor has been spotted 12 kilometers north of the Washington Monument, supported by infantry, APCs such as BTRs, and attack helicopters. Hunter 2-3 makes contact with enemy troops on the left, shouting it twice for urgency. Viper 3-1 cuts in, calling that they're taking fire from about 400 meters out. Then Warpig 2-2 Alpha comes over the net, screaming that one of Warpig 2's vehicles has just been hit. You can hear the desperation in these few transmissions alone. I also saw a lot of comments pointing out one of the few inaccuracies in these transmissions is a soldier saying repeat. In real comms, repeat is reserved as a fire command, meaning fire the same mission again. The proper phrase would have been say again, not repeat. Here, Warpig 2-1 Alpha reports to Wolverine 2 that they're taking heavy fire along the Potomac River. He uses break as a pause to start a new sentence. Then he explains that 2-2 echoes Victor, one of their vehicles has been destroyed after taking a direct hit before the transmission cuts out completely, likely inferring that the vehicle was taken out and the call was cut short by the impact. It makes the whole transmission sound chaotic and sudden, like you're hearing someone's last words on the net. Again, there's a lot to unpack here. Hunter 2-3 is yelling to call out an ambush. Viper 3-1 is shouting about contact on his left. An unknown call sign is warning Hunter 2-3 about an RPG. And Grizzly 1-2 is desperately trying to get a Mark 19 machine gun moved to another sector. This set of transmissions is very messy, but it does a great job at illustrating the chaotic nature of the fight. There's so much going on at once, and everyone is screaming just to get their voices heard. You can hear the desperation. How everyone is almost out of options and are on the brink of death to where the radio chatter becomes very hard to follow and unorganized. You hear this not just from one platoon, but from soldiers all across the battlefield, with all of them caught in this same predicament. And that was a few more transmissions. This time around the breakdown was a lot more technical, but even with all the details, there were still moments that captured the horror of it all. I also saw some of you asking me to cover the Hammer Down protocol chatter. I'm going to save that for a separate video where I can talk about the mission as a whole. Also, shout out to Annie Leonhardt for becoming a channel member. If you'd like to join, the link will be in the description below. Thanks again for all the support, and I hope you enjoy this breakdown. Peace.